Hello, and welcome to this session on 7TV Fantasy. We've played a long game in the garage. It was a Friday night. We were a wee bit tired in the end of the evening, but I recorded every part of the action. We did have a mic issue on the first round, so you'll see that we kind of skip into round 2, but not a lot happened on that first round apart from movement. The two forces were 27 cast points aside, and this was a big drop from the last game we had where we had 50 points aside. And given this is our second outing with 7TV Fantasy, it was still a lot of learning going on, so we're not fully 100% cooking on gas, as they say, in terms of knowing every nuanced part of the rules. Also, we're still learning the characters because each one has, especially the heroic stars and the villainous stars, that have a lot of spells and special actions that they can do. We've not got them all down, so we haven't quite worked out what the synergy is. But one of the things we did learn is that the status conditions you can get, like anything from knockdown, stunned, poison, distracted, dominated, all of those different conditions are very interesting how you can sort of mechanically use them. Just like, for example, poison, when it's applied to one of the characters, if you use a spell or an ability from one of the characters that will poison, you end up being able to sort of pin on them a token that will be pretty hard to remove, especially with poison, because it takes 2 plot points to remove a poison. But if you then drop a second poison on that same character, they take a health damage instead of getting 2 of the same token. That applies across the board with the conditions. So that was a great little feature we learnt as we went through. One thing in terms of just a quick observation is that we were a little slow, so be prepared. This is a long haul of a video. If you can make it through, I mean, you get a gold star really for getting right through to the end of this if you can. I start in the garage where I talk about building the layout for the game, then I show you the layout and the scenario that we've kind of come up with, then we've got the forces, and then we're into the action. So you get every little sort of bit of detail of the game, and hopefully you'll be able to make a decision on whether you like the look of 7TV Fantasy or not by browsing through this. So thanks again for listening, and I'll let you get stuck straight into it. Actually, no, just before I go, I will skip over to the desktop actually. So just show you these forces. I've got them in this Ultimate Guard case that I use for putting these together. But the cards in the actual box cover the heroic side of the forces and the villainous cast as well. Plus these neutral cards in here. So you get sort of 3 stacks. Oops, wrong game. Strontium Dog that was. You get 3 stacks. You get villainous cards. You've got the neutral ones, which are kind of monsters and things like this High Priest here, which could work for either faction, either villainous or heroic. And then you also get the cards for the heroes. And when you make your force up, you just point them, you stat point them up by basically saying, oh, that's 11 cast points for the Blessed Champion. I'll stick with him, you know, as his sidekick. I'll make this heroic co-star be the Steadfast Goliath, and that's an extra 6 points. So you build it up in that way, and what you find is that the heroic stars, heroic co-stars, and the villainous stars and villainous co-stars, they do have the highest points factor from the cast. But then as you get down to some of the smaller, you know, just like a standard dwarf fighter, it's just a 2-pointer. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff all pre-done for you if you get the box set, because it just saves on you spending a long time looking through stat lists and things. Essentially you can just go, okay, I'll just throw it together, and you can use any miniatures you like. So I've got absolutely tons and tons of minis from 37 years of collecting, and that 37 years of collecting has meant I've got models from almost every range of companies that's ever produced a fantasy miniature, and you can use them all in the 7TV game, and that's one of the things I really like about it. I can just dive in and go, I need a dwarf fighter. It means you can pick any brand at all, and I've got them all ready to go, and just about every kind of monster on the planet too. You know, everything from like giant skeletons to titans to giants, scorpions, and everything in between. The game has nearly everything going for it in terms of the kind of monsters. Well, it has 320 different cards, so that's quite a lot to cover, and a lot of variety in there. So I won't keep rambling on. I'll get straight into the action now and switch to me in the garage. So we're in the garage again. Hopefully tonight we've got a plan scheduled to have another go of 7TV Fantasy. And I'm just looking around and trying to decide how to build the layout. I've got, these are very old boards that I built for War Machine, 4 foot by 4 foot in total, the whole area. And so each board is 2 foot by 4 foot, and they slide together. They get a bit battered up actually over the years. Doesn't take much to do a quick bit of repair on there. They're quite sturdy and they've kept their shape quite good. But I was thinking that when the last game we had was kind of a village raid kind of situation with a graveyard in the middle. But for the layout for the game tonight, I thought I might go for a kind of a wilderness, rocky wilderness scene, like a ravine or something. I'm not sure I want to cover the full 4 foot by 4 foot, so I might do something like 4 foot by 3 foot, and make the 4 foot be the length of the table. It's a table tennis table I've got underneath here on some wheels, on some old cabinets that I've got wheels on the bottom. So maybe if I match it up against this side here, I'll be able to build out by 3 foot in this direction out up to about here, and then 4 foot along the full width of the table. Table tennis tables are 5 foot wide by 9 foot, I think it is. 5 foot wide by 9 foot, I think. So yeah, so I think I might put these away and go for laying down some mats, and then use some of the sort of dungeon Dwarven Forge style terrain on there instead. So I've got some of that stacked up here, and in particular I've got some, I don't have a massive amount, but I have some of these sort of rocky ravine style ones, which will make for an interesting, yeah. So what I've done so far is I've removed the 2 big wooden boards, which has revealed my Pathfinder Dungeons and Dragons layout, which I've got under some acrylic slabs, heavy acrylic pieces. So this is a neoprene mat and a bit of a dungeon layout from a Pathfinder adventure arc, which I had printed out, and that gets regularly played on. I didn't want to use that specifically for the encounter, so I'm going to build on top of that, and I've just put my terrain boards have gone back onto their shelving in there, the old boards, the 4 foot by 4 foot layout. And then I was looking through some of these terrain mats. I've got a variety of those. This is quite a nice one from Deep Cut. Looks like a relatively large, I think it's at least a 4 foot by 4 foot layout, that one. So I ended up putting away the 4 foot layout and then trying to do something different and use my Dwarven Forge terrain. So down here I've put down every one of these tiles that I own actually. They're all about, what are they? They're about a foot squared, or around about 30 centimetres or thereabouts. And I don't really have enough of the right kind, so what doesn't matter so much is I've put them down, but because I'm going to put on and layer on some of the variety of different terrain pieces that they do to make some cliffs and make a rough area, it'll hide these harsh edges between the different areas, and this will be sort of hidden behind the terrain items. So yeah, if I wanted a rocky ledge up along here, for example, once I've built that up and built it out, it'll start looking a little bit more natural. Dwarven Forge also do these templates, and they kind of disappear when you put them on actually. They're really quite nice, the edge of them as well. And that helps again with sort of disguising the gaps between the different pieces. Yeah, and they've got a metal sheet inside, which is interesting. They're really, really heavy. When you stack them together, they're really heavy. And I think they kind of sell them on the basis that what you could do is, I mean, for a start, they have some magnets in there, some of the pieces, and that means it stays on there for when you lift it up like so. So you could actually build out a small terrain encounter or something on a couple of these and then just carry them to the table and then drop them on. Obviously that's not what I'm doing here, so the magnetic aspect of them is not as important to me, but it's still nice when you're laying out. And not every one of their pieces has a magnetic base either anyway. Some of them, depending on what ones you buy, some of them don't have a magnet, so you're not going to get that grip. Other stuff does, so I've got a lot down here. And this is the stuff that I'm going to layer on, but you can see it already has quite a hefty magnet. And again, once I put a few pieces like this on, I'll have this looking like a sort of a pit of doom in the middle, an icy sort of barbarian chaos camp, I thought. It's going to be my general idea. And yeah, and this would possibly be a sort of a passageway through a sort of more mountainous region. So if I build up some height along the side, put a sort of barbarian camp of sorts over the back there, and then I've got my encounter, a sort of icy mountainous region. Of course, as it stands at the moment, it looks a bit stark with these harsh lines between, you have just walked between stone region and ice region. But I think I can fix that, as I said, by putting on enough of these transition pieces that they do, that you end up with quite a nice transition between areas without the sort of harsh lines that I've got from here. In fact, I could even do this without putting these boards down properly, but then you'd need an awful lot of these items to cover the whole board. Which my idea is that I may have some scattered areas, you know, so I might make a mountainous ravine section here, but then I'll use this as an area where I'm not having to fill it up with model pieces, so it just makes it a bit, well, cheaper budget, plus it makes use of these tiles already having a terrain area. So for game wise, I was thinking for 7TV, as I put these down, I was thinking this might be difficult going here to move on the ice, but I will put methods of getting across there. So again, like that layout I've just put down there, I'll probably put some stone pieces across here so that the ice is in patches. So game wise, potentially you can make a shortcut across some ice, but which will be hazardous to move, a little bit harder to move around. Yeah, so those are thoughts so far, and because I ran out of pieces, I put a sort of water piece down the end there, and I was just thinking that might be the sort of end of a glacier or a lake or something, and again, might not get much use if it's all water, but I could put a couple of stone outcrops into there to make it interesting. Could even put an objective token in there for 7. So there we are. Next up, me building these pieces on. So what I'm going to do is sort of tuck into the various boxes I've got. I've got one down here actually there, where I get some nice large stone pieces already in there, and these ones, which are great because they all have that sort of built-in elevation, sort of chunky pieces. So I'm going to put a lot of this on there basically. I don't think there'd be any harm in making some sort of temple thing as well, mountainous ice temple that's been left behind and maybe populated by chaos now. Character-wise, as I was working through this in terms of forces, I was thinking that make use of this nice hassle-free model. I'll move these over there so you can see them, get a bit more light on them. Yeah, so I've got a nice hassle-free Chaos Knight that might make for a nice sort of Chaos Champion, and then he can have a group of warriors with him. Yeah, so that's possibly going to be the guys on the villainous side for 7TV tonight, and I'll think of some details around how I'm going to build that out as well. But we're going for smaller points, maybe 25 to 30 points instead of the 50 that we did in the last game, which is a lot to handle on your first session of a new game system. Okay, so I'll get on with building this layout and be back soon. Okay, so this is what I built up for the 7TV fantasy game tonight. As I mentioned, I was trying to hide the gaps on these 1 foot tiles that are from Dwarven Forge by using a variety of Dwarven Forge bits and pieces on the table and the layout. And I mean, it's a bit contrived in places, but generally speaking, I think it's going to be some fun, and I've managed to sort of make it look like there's some transition areas. So generally what's happened is in the central area here I've put some of these baseboards down as a kind of a, you know, entrance to the heart of some kind of mountain temple or something, with the rocky areas around the edge, and then built up a couple of these areas and tried to give them lots of multiple access points for this kind of skirmish game that 7TV is. I didn't want to really have that kind of linear Dungeons and Dragons style approach where you might have only one route to take or a couple of routes. I wanted to make it so you could sort of skirmish over it. But at the same time, I've put down some interesting spots where some of the objectives are going to be for the game. So possibly this sort of shrine kind of thing here, which is over some water. But to access that, I've given lots of access points. So you can come over by the bridge, you can come over by the rocks to here, and you can also get down to the sort of temple, the Chaos Temple down there as well in that method. So there's nowhere really that is completely, you know, what I didn't want is someone having necessarily somewhere they could just go up to the top of and then shoot, and then no one would be able to get there unless they ran half a mile around the table. And as I said, we've got 3 foot along this edge and then 4 foot along the long edge too. Oh, and back here, and this is really hard to disguise when you're trying to do a mountainous region, but this is one of the harder plastic, almost like a box really, from Dwarven Forge, and it gives you some instant elevation, which is what I wanted for this area. But because I wanted this kind of looking rocky mountainous, it's kind of looking a bit like a structure built into the mountain or carved in, rather than it being wholly mountainous. And then I've kind of blended it by putting some of their pieces on there. I mean, the main bit of work was trying to find all my transition pieces like this, because having that lip on the edge isn't too bad a thing, but it makes it look a lot more natural if everything sort of comes down to these edges. So these ones, they do have this kind of sort of greasy look on there. These were pre-painted. Again, they've got a magnet on the bottom, and it just means that it gives you that transition. And that's what I did along the edge of this tile. So there's a tile inserted in there, but then I've got the transition pieces around the edge, which makes it look a little bit more natural, but still at the same time natural, then going to some sort of temple-ish thing. These areas are sort of built up from the cliff kind of bricks, and then that's a unique piece that they do on the top there. You can just see how I've constructed it, given it some more height. But the other thing I wanted to do is not, because I've got these kind of lines on here, because unfortunately I didn't have all the same terrain panels, I've tried to hide those really just by trying to make it look like a natural transition between a kind of sandy rock to a different type over there. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it looks okay, and sort of brightens up this area here like it's kind of an entrance to, but then it goes to an icy area around the temple. So that is just difficult. That's going to be difficult terrain. And the same with over the back there with the icy area, difficult terrain. But at the same time as putting it on there, I was in the back of my mind again thinking, okay, I wanted some difficult terrain, but I didn't want 2 whole tiles that essentially no one wanted to go on because it was moving so slowly. So again, I've got somewhere where you can sort of come out of the temple area over another bridge, work your way around here, obtain cover if required here too, and then make your way up over this main raised bridge. So the raised bridge might be, I had in mind at first I could go all the way, and I don't think I had enough of these pieces to sort of like join the 2 whole sections together. So I've made it look like it's sort of collapsed, so to speak, here. Oh, and this area down there can still be like a massive depth. So that's interesting, because any fight or anything that could happen up here, or using pushback, which is sometimes an effect of some of the spells in 7TV Fantasy. You could throw people off here and then they're going straight to their doom, down into the pit of doom there. Likewise, I put a couple of these templates on really to cover the transitions up again a bit. These plastic templates from Dwarven Forge, and that can be like a crevasse of sorts there, so you know you don't want to fall in there or over this bit either if you're pushed off. So as part of the setup in 7TV, I've got to pick a chapter and then some encounters to go with it. So I haven't done that yet, but what I have done is start to think about the sort of narrative and what's happening. So I've got a nice chaos sorcerer here who will be on this sort of chaos side. I'm not sure, they're not necessarily going to set up here, I've just dumped them in. And then I've got like a chaos champion here that would make a good leader for the chaos warriors. And we're probably aiming for 20-25 points or cast points per side. So on the basis that the 7TV rules, you want to try and have some units that will activate as one with your plot points. This would be a good sort of chaos champion leader unit plus these guys, and then I might have another chaos warrior to be like a oh well, maybe if the sorcerer is the main character, he's going to need a sidekick, so that might be another chaos warrior, and this one will end up being just the leader for the warriors. Oh, and I have this here, and I'm not sure whether to bring it in to the game or not, but maybe some kind of large beast troll, perhaps, that's with them. If there's enough points in there, there might not be enough points in the smaller game that we're playing. And on the good side, haven't really firmed this up yet, but I think we need some kind of sorcerer. So we've got a sorcerer kind of model here that will make for some spell casting. And then I've got these kind of warrior priestess, warrior priest kind of models. And I think there's a kind of a thug or a brute in the cards. I haven't checked yet, but I thought it'd be nice to have some sort of massive brute with the heroic side here against the villainous side. And then finally, last comment worth making really is that there's going to be a MacGuffin on here for the rules, plus a few objectives. And that's where I'm probably going to be very deliberate on placing some of the objectives in really tricky places. Just thinking over here, and maybe even the MacGuffin over there in this corner, just to stretch people, because the MacGuffin can give you up to 1d3 victory points and gives you certain abilities on the table too. So why not put them in really hard to reach places, so that, you know, while the combat's going on, you may want to spend some of your plot points to get the characters right over into these hidden away spots. Oh, a nice rope bridge battle scene possibly there as well, if there's some one-to-one fights that are going to end up going on. But one thing I had in mind, I have these sort of magic portal things here, and this is around the Chaos Temple, so I've put like a kind of sacrificial place there too. But I did wonder about putting a couple of these gateways around and introducing them to the game as a kind of a quick route between one place and another, but I thought, well, then I don't think they're in the rules, so I could make them up. But since we're still learning how to play 7TV, I thought better to, you know, stick to the rules for now, rather than throwing on some portals that allow people to leap from one side of the table to the other. I also thought placement of them would be really important, because if I suddenly put one too near an objective, someone might jump in one portal, snap up all the objectives across the board, and we'd be done. But since these are chapter-based games, there's no harm in this being sort of the start of a mini kind of a series of adventures, in that the characters on the heroic side may wish to travel through the portal at the end of this game, and then on to the next scenario, which could be another inner dungeon area, rather than this this idea I've got here of this being a kind of a valley, a rocky valley on the lead up to an icy deserted temple that's been recently populated with a chaos sorcerer called Keriogor. Let's have another look at those chaos sorcerer around there. Check that I had the name right. Yep, that's Kerriagor. So he's actually appeared in a few of my role-playing games that I've run, and I use the nameplates to sort of name them, and the names stick for a while. So it would be great to get Kerriagor out here and doing some harm to the good guys potentially. And as I say, the last game of 7TV I played, I was the villainous side. So this time I may end up picking the heroic side. Although, as I said, I haven't necessarily selected all the models yet. I need to have a think about that. I had actually thought maybe the Chaos side would have Beastmen to start with, but decided to go for Chaos Warriors. I've got a really nice big Chaos Warrior there. That might make for a great character to sort of back up Kerriagor on there. Can't even get that in focus. Yeah, it's another Games Workshop plastic one. Haven't quite finished the nameplate on the base on that one. Yeah, so there we go. Nearly ready. Quite pleased with the setup. It's taken about an hour, I'd say, to put all that down from my various boxes. And I'm quite pleased with it. Dwarven Forge have done a new range recently, a kind of a wilderness mountain range set, and that was in last year's Kickstarter. And I don't have any of that, obviously, yet, and I didn't back the Kickstarter either because I felt I had enough as it was. But some of their transition pieces now are really nice. They sort of transition from forest areas into rocky areas, and very tempting, although I've managed to get by with these transitions. And that's the main thing. When you've got this, what they call in the Dwarven Forge world, they call this a negative space, where you're saving some money because you're not covering it with loads and loads of terrain. You're just using a base area. So I could have put a mat down instead of these, but I had these, so I wanted to use them. And then you put as many transition pieces. So one lesson for me from this has been, I really want to make sure my transition sections, all these kind of bits, are in one box from now on, because they do make for an interesting layout. And here's an interesting little thing that happened. I put down some of these curved transition sections, ended up making it look like a rusting old end of a sword on that island there. I thought that was quite an interesting sort of detail. Then I hid it underneath that, which is a Games Workshop sort of sacrificial temple thing that's going to probably feature one of the objectives on the top of there to have to collect. Well, that's it. The next section will be me talking through the game when we set up these forces, and I'll get the 7TV cards out, and we'll actually point up all of these so that we know what forces we're going to use and face off against each other on the table.
We're led by the Blessed Champion. Probably an old GW figure, probably.
It's a GW, I think it might be from Citadel. So Blessed Champion.
And then he's accompanied by a Battle Mage.
That's a well, who makes those? Frostgrave Mage.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, a Battle Mage.
Steadfast Goliath, which
Steadfast
is Guild Ball miniature.
Guild Ball miniature. He's 6 points.
And then we've got a High Priest.
Ah. He's 3 points. Does he have spells? Or Pay the Tithe,
so,
Power of Faith? He's got some abilities.
He just leads the Acolytes, which are just
they're a
cheap
1 point each.
throwaway.
So throwaway minis. So, and your total came to
26.
Why don't you take an extra acolyte to make that 27 then?
Do you have another one?
Not exactly, but there might be something relevant. You could have there's an old acolyte in there. She's sort of still, I haven't finished her eyes. Oh, she's blind. 1 point blind old acolyte. I'm sure she'll do well actually, she'll be the star of the match. So that's given you exactly the same then, 27 points. And a kind of slightly heavier, what's your model count there?
2, 3, 7, 8.
8, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we both have a star, mine's the Malevolent Sorcerer, and a co-star, and your star is the Blessed Champion.
And a co-star.
Co-star is your Steadfast Goliath, who's going to do some nasty damage, no doubt. He says he's got a quarterstaff, and it says Warhammer as well. So you can have them, yeah.
Yeah.
You can have them both, don't you? He does have a kind of Warhammer thing. That's it. So we've picked from the producer's guide in 7TV that we were going to do. I think it was theft that came up. It's the chapter, which is like the scenario. The theft. We've rolled 1d6. We know we've got 5.
Defender places the first token down, then players alternate placing them until they are placed.
Oh, okay, so we need
Can't
to
be
find
placed
out.
closer than 2 inches from a start location or 6 inches of another token.
Okay, so we need to determine. We've determined the chapter is going to be the theft, and we need to determine the attacker and the defender. We add a mind statistic to a roll. Okay, my highest mind is 5, so I'm on 7.
Oh, I only got 1 anyway.
You're on a 1, but your highest mind is 4, probably on the Blessed Champion.
Yep.
So yeah, 4 and 1, 5. So I am.
So you can choose to be attacker or defender.
I'll be the defender. And we've decided not to use any encounters.
So defender places the first token face down.
So go for it again. What's that with your MacGuffin?
So Ring of Power costs 2 plot points to activate. The model using it must make a spirit test. If unsuccessful, pay your opponent the 2 points to use it. Then the chosen model becomes invisible until your cast is next on screen.
Oh, so it's a classic Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they can't be the target of strikes, can move through other models and are not affected by the block special effect.
Okay, so well, we've both had our first turns, so we're kind of on round 2 now, and that's where I draw 1 again. Jump cut. Choose a friendly model this turn. That model may move through an obstacle or enemy models without penalty. This model cannot end its movement on an obstacle. So
you lose your hermit now, don't you?
Oh, you lose the hermit as well.
Worthwhile.
So he's gone. So I don't know that there's any real obstacles that are going to be a problem for me at the moment, because I'm just sort of running across the ground. So I'm still generating 5 points, but I already had 2 left over from last round. So I'm up to 7 plot points. I think it's pretty clear that I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to activate the Chaos Knight and double move him 12 inches. So yeah, he's going to reach the objective down there, but he's not going to be able to do anything with it because it takes an extra action to do anything with it. So he's rushed down there, and that costs me 1 plot point. Add another plot point and allows me to use his unit leader ability, and these were within 6 inches of him when he started, so they can move 2. So yeah, that's 2 of my plot points spent. And well, now this is going to get interesting over here as to see what I do.
Did you get that objective?
He got to it, but he can't pick it up because he's used 2 actions, so he hasn't got a special action left to grab it with a spell.
Stonehide.
Stonehide. How much does it cost to cast that?
The one that until you cast is next on screen, any model within 3 inches of the spellcaster may add 1 to their defense.
Okay.
Is it that one?
Yes.
It's a difficulty mind 11.
Mind 11. Okay, so I'm going to put two of my wizarding abilities into it.
Your mind is 5, so you need 6.
So I need 6.
Fail miserably.
Failed miserably. And I got a 1, so I've got a backlash. So yeah, any 1s on that roll will end up with a backlash.
Yep.
So let's see, use the strength one. 2.
Stunned.
Oh. So stunned is pretty poor, because
So you're knocked down.
I'm knocked down.
Can't be allocated any plot points in the action phase or make any attacks. You're disadvantaged, so you never get to roll any dice when defending against an attack.
Yeah, so literally knocked down. But, of course, I'll follow up with this guy. And I was intending to keep him in close so that Stonehide would work on him for improved defence. But I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to move him 12, which actually puts him just about in base-to-base contact with the token. But that's a double move, 2 times his 6 move. And he gets that activation for free because he activates with his master. Obviously very concerned now as the decrepit old sorcerer Kerriagor stumbles on his way up while casting a spell and is now stunned. Lucky that wasn't like mid-combat, but that's interesting, dramatic, cinematic things happening there. You have to be careful with the old spell firing if they misfire like that. So yeah, I've got a bunch of wild acolytes on the way in. I think that's me. I mean, it's quite quick and easy, isn't it? Because I only have 5 models to move, so it's your go.
I generate 6 again to add to the 3 that I saved from last round.
I'll get your trilogy card for you.
I've got 9.
I think you get the trilogy card before you generate plot points.
Oh, maybe. Grim Overture. This turn each model must make a spirit statistic test before being activated. If unsuccessful, it can't activate this turn.
Oh no.
Well,
that's interesting
harsh.
then. That is going to be harsh.
Before being activated.
Yeah. So you don't lose the plot point, fortunately, but you do lose the activation.
3.
No.
Next one.
3.
What?
How many
What?
3s have you rolled? 2.
2. What the?
So they're not doing anything. Oh, so my stumble and failed spell. Maybe it caused this doom, basically. The spell rippled so badly that the spirits...
Now my Goliath unfortunately needs a 5.
And he gets a 1.
Doesn't get to activate.
Your
My
sorcerer?
Battle Mage.
Battle Mage.
She gets 5 as well.
2.
And my main guy, he's got a spirit of 5, so he needs a 3.
He only needs a 3. It's going to be easy. Yay! So you got 1 activation this round as a result of the trilogy card. So that's quite harsh. Does that affect me as well?
No, just me.
That's a nice feeling. I'm getting ready to now draw mine because his whole force was crippled. I'm going to put it down, you know, story narrative wise, I'm going to put it down to my failed spell was so bad, so badly failed that it caused a massive traumatic event. But you've got up there, but you've not got enough to draw. No, so he's climbed all the way to the top to pick the objective marker token.
It does mean that I've stockpiled 3, 6, 8.
Yeah,
Extra plot
through
points
a poor round, yeah.
Because I didn't get to activate anything. That was great.
So over to me now. So, and it's the last of the
Training
Act 1. Choose a friendly non-extra. If this model does not make a strike action or cast a spell this turn and does not end its activation in base contact with enemy, you gain 2. Okay, so I don't think...
So a non-extra.
So it's got to be... It's got to be the Loyal Brute.
So he can't...
End base to base.
He can't make a strike or cast a spell. And does not end in base contact with an enemy model. You gain 2.
Yeah. Okay, so this turn I generated 5 more and I had 4 stray left over from last round. So I've got 9 tokens. So I'm going to activate Kerriagor, the sorcerer, first, who's on his back. Now, it's my movement action to stand, so he's going to use his movement action to stand. And then, basically, is he... yeah, I think he's within 6, so he can activate. Does that then remove the stunned from standing?
Players can spend any number of plot points to remove 1 status from 1 model for each
Status. Okay,
so you remove the stunned.
So remove the stunned for 1 plot point. Activation is 1 plot point. Standing up is just half his movement, so the stunned is now removed.
So you've got 1 action.
He's shaken himself free, so he's got 1 action left. I'm going to move him onto these stairs down here, so he's going to... The idea being there might be some sort of clash of wizards going on. he's moved to there. Now, this Loyal Brute activates for free if he's within 6 inches of his master. So his first action is to pick up the objective token, which he does, which gives me an immediate boost of 2 more plot points. Because if a star or co-star picks up a objective, they get 2 plot points. And obviously that's going to be victory points towards the end of the game as well. And then finally, burning through another plot point, I shall activate the Chaos Knight on top of the large bridge up there, and put another point on him to activate the group as a unit behind him, which I think is a free action. So better check that. Chaos Knight, unit leader. It costs 1, but it's a free action. So basically he's going to use 1 special action to pick up the objective, and he's only an extra. So I pick the objective up, which is going to give me a victory point towards the end of the game, but I don't get the extra plot points because he's only an extra. And then that leaves him with a 6-inch move, basically. I'm going to run him down the stairs. So yeah, I'm going to run him down the stairs to here. And the other ones are going to stay grouped with him, basically, but one will come a little bit further on. And this one there, so they've both basically taken a 6-inch move. So the one that's moved to, the first one that moved to the end, he's going to move right to the extreme of the end there, and he's going to try and do an echoing battle cry over to your
blessed champion.
Your blessed champion up there. So is that within 12?
Yeah.
It is. So basically you need to do your defense first, and this is called a battle cry. It's that other kind of attack. What's that other kind of attack? Not distraction.
Presence attack.
Presence attack. So this is a presence attack, shouting over there, "Wizard, you're doomed." Something along those lines is shouted out. So
it's my defence. No, it's my defence. Yeah.
it's your defence. I think you've got as you could actually dump some of your plot points into this.
I've got defence of 10.
12. So you didn't put any plot points into that?
No.
Okay, so my battle cry is a strike of +7, and I'm going to put, which is 1d6 basically, but I'm going to spend another 2 plot points and give myself 2 more dice to throw in there as well, so that I've got 3 dice. So this is going to be added to the +7. Let's throw them in there, see what happens. So 4's my highest, and ignore the 1 because it's not doing anything, but the 4 is the highest. So it'd be 4 added onto the 7 up to 11, and then a +1 up to 12,
which equals mine.
equals yours. So the effect takes place because you only have to equal the defense. You are distracted. Have you got anything that says you can't be distracted as a special? Didn't you have like something like a magic item or something?
No.
No. So
no, my locket distracts you.
You're distracted. Okay. Distracted. That was a great bit of battle cry.
Shouting.
He is scared. He's scared. He's scared of the Chaos Warrior.
Swearing at me.
And that is all my activity. And I actually have 5 tokens left. So that was a good use of those 2 just to get that distracted token over there. And I'll gather in the others that are scattered about. They're spent. Obviously a bit of a shame my sorcerer couldn't do anything spell-wise this turn because he was busy getting up from his spell failure last round. So you are on to Act 2 now, and it's your turn. Act 2.
Dungeon restock. Choose a friendly extra that has been removed from play and return it to the play. If no friendly extras have been removed, draw an artifact card.
Oh, well, very nice.
So I get an extra artifact.
So I shall find an artifact randomly.
The Royal Crown. Center the blast 5-inch template on this model. Opposing models touched by the template must make a spirit test. Models failing the test are pushed the minimum distance to the edge of the template and are knocked down. It's an +8 strike.
So we just discovered that unless you're the main primary characters that have 2 or 3 spell ability, you're not going to be able to cast some of the higher level 11s. But there is a 9 in every one of the grimoires, so if you've got a sidekick like we had here, which was the battle mage, that only has 1 in magic user, that means you can only add 1 dice onto their magic roll, and because of that, and you can't boost it, so they wouldn't be able to do some of the higher level spells because it's an unboostable roll.
But she does have an Eldritch Bolt, so she's going to fire it at this dude.
Okay, Eldritch Bolt, that's it. So is that a presence attack?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's an attack of +8.
Ow.
So you need to make your defense
And
roll.
it's against the Chaos Knight or just a Chaos Raider?
I think it's just a raider, isn't he?
Okay, so my Raider has a defense of 8, and given I've got a lot of these, I'm going to add another 2 plot points in, so that I get to roll 3 total dice on my defense roll. So that means I take the 6 as the highest, and the 4 counts as a +1, and the 1 counts as nothing, because 4, 5, 6 would give me a +1 onto the 6. So that's a 7 from that roll. Add it on to my defense of 8 for the Chaos Raider, means I've got a 15.
So I've got 8. I've got loads of plot points. So
Go for it. Burn them into the spell power. Eldritch Strike.
I'm going to chuck 2 into them as well. Oof.
So that's 5, 6, 7 from there.
+8 is 15.
You've matched it.
So it matches it. -1 health.
Uh-oh, that Chaos Raider's gone.
Fries you.
He has 1 health. But I can re-roll 1 dice per turn. I missed that. Let me re-roll that 1 to see whether I can take it up to 16. No. Yeah, so I was a bit delayed with that, but basically as a Chaos, you got like a Mark of Chaos, Gift of Chaos, which means you can re-roll 1 die. So that roll that came up with a 1 on the defense die, I could have re-rolled it. I'd forgotten about it. But he's dead anyway, so that's... He's splatterooned, okay.
And then she's got a free action, which costs a plot point. Amulet of Shielding. Place the barrier template and place the base contact with her, and it blocks line of sight until he casts his next on screen.
Oh, wow. And that's used... Is that a magic item?
No, that's her
Special ability?
special ability.
Is it free?
It's a free action, but it just costs a plot point too.
Oh, so you just had to use a plot point. So
she's hiding.
Tactical Mage came in,
Zapped him.
realised it couldn't do a fireball, but went for the Eldritch Blast, wiped out a Chaos Warrior. That's it. Well, it's not a Chaos Warrior, it's a Chaos Raider. So we've got a priest. Which one's the priest or the guy at the front? And he's your...
He's the unit leader.
He's the unit leader. And he's going to preach at the Loyal Brute, who has... and is it a normal defence or is it a mind or...
It's normal defence.
Normal defence of 9.
It's a striker +8. So.
Oh, it's already coming in at quite a high cost. So I can't afford to have that creature dominated. I'm going to put 3. I'm going to put all my plot points in because I can't lose him. I've got nothing left if I do. So yeah, 3 plot points, which means you roll 1 dice initially and then add another 3 to it. So here we go. Right, so it's the 6 is a 6 and the 5 will give me a +1. The others will count as nothing.
So you've got 7.
So 7
plus your defence
of 9. I'm on 16.
You're on 16. Not like that. 12.
12. No. So
Didn't dominate you.
didn't dominate me. That's very lucky because I needed to badly avoid that.
Move up there.
And now I've seen that happen, I'm going to feel the threat. And you're all done with 2 plot points. So I've got no plot points.
That was a terrible round.
It was a pretty poor rolling round for you.
I did kill one guy.
You did kill one guy though.
The mage. Go mage.
The go mage. So I now generate 3 for those 2, and then 1 for those. 4. All I'm getting is 4 plot points. That is. That's a bit desperate, but I'm going to take two trilogy cards and pick one of these.
We both get 2.
Yeah,
we both get 2.
We both get 2.
So I'm back up to 4.
So I'm going to pick not the Wilhelm Scream because that knocks people down, but I'm going to pick this one of the 2 to use. It's Plot Armor, which means enemy models may not add extra dice to defense rolls against star and co-stars this turn.
Okay, so these 2.
So that's a little bit more interesting, because these 2 then can make attacks against things with stuff not being boosted. So I think I'm going to activate the Sorcerer. Bit of a showdown happening here. So I'm going to cast Fireball. What template does it use?
It's that little 3-inch.
The 3-inch. So if I place it over this one here, it should catch the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the target. And what level is Fireball? It's an 11.
Your mine's 5.
So my mind is 5. I've got to get 11.
Only one more mind more than me, but you get the extra dice, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to put the 3 in. I didn't roll a 1, fortunately. 9, 10, 11. Plus... is it a mind spell? Yeah. So actually I got 16, and I only needed to, on those 3 dice, get 11. So basically they're on fire and they're knocked down.
No 1s this time.
No 1s, fortunately. So that's 3 on fire in a blaze over here.
On fire. In the end phase, roll 2d6 versus defense, and if roll is equal or greater, the model suffers -1 health.
And that's at the end of your next on-screen phase.
In own end phase, yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to be on fire for the next round. But so when something's on the ground, how does that affect combat if I charge those 3 that are on the ground right now?
They're disadvantaged, aren't they? No extra dice.
No extra dice, but they don't get extra dice anyway because of the weird plot card that came out this time, the Plot Armor. So do another attack, because I have a Withering Glare and a Blistering Curse. 12-inch Blistering Curse. So I'm going to do a 12-inch Blistering Curse. Now I've used a spell attack, but because it's a presence attack, you can do it in addition to a spell attack as a second action. So I'm going to use a presence attack at him. So enemies cannot add extra dice defense rolls against star and co-star, so you can't add in extra dice. You just roll the dice neat.
Well, he's dead then.
So 10. That was a Blistering Curse, 12-inch range, plus
Poisoned.
9, and it's poisoned, so you are poisoned. So that's where I start to feel
Poison doesn't actually do anything.
things were going interesting down here. I was worried this guy was going to get dominated, but he didn't.
You have to spend 2 plot points to remove it.
Oh, poisoned.
Yeah, it doesn't actually do anything else. But if you do, obviously, if you manage to get poison on me again, then because you've got 2 of the same thing, you die. You lose a health.
Oh, okay, so you lose a health with 2 poisons. That's interesting. So basically, I can see that's within 6 for his move here. So, yep. So he's going to move, a standard move. He's activating for free because he's the sort of loyal henchman of that character. And he means he does an attack, a free attack after a charge.
Free strike, yep.
Free strike. So roll your defense.
10.
Okay, so, well, I'm going to use a 2-handed axe, and it is actually plus 10. So, again, don't need to roll, but
Just
2,
cleave me
12.
in 2.
So that does do -1 health and knocks you down with a two-handed axe, but
Cleaves me in half.
you're dead. So what I'm going to do is maybe spend that onslaught, which says, once per turn, when this model makes a successful fight, this model may immediately make a head back as a free action. If there is no enemy model in range, this model may immediately move 3 inches. So I'm going to do a headbutt as a free action by spending... Do I need to do that? No, I don't need to do it. Okay, I'm really smart about this. I'm not going to use the onslaught yet. I'm going to use my second attack against the other guy on the floor beside me. And it's a second attack because the first one was the free one from a charge. Now this time I'm not going to add anything to it, but you need to do your defense roll again. 5? 11. Okay, so this is my second attack, and I've got a +10. I only need a 1. 2. So basically, another.
Did you headbutt her on the floor?
No, that wasn't a headbutt, that was another great axe.
Oh.
Because that was my free great axe. That's the second great axe attack. The first one was the free one from a charge, the second one was a normal attack. Fearing the mage over that way, I'm going to activate the Chaos Warrior. And also spend a point to activate the characters beside him, or the one beside him, for free. So that's cost me 2 plot points. He's going to do the Chaos War Cry. So
Shout at me.
Shout at your guy. So defense roll required.
Defense 7.
Oh, that's a nice
6.
roll.
So 13.
13, and my Chaos Raiders battle cry is at a +7. I'm not going to boost it with my last remaining plot point. I'm going to hold that back. So I just need a 6, basically.
Well.
It's a 5. Oh, 1 free reroll per turn because of the chaos, the gift of chaos. It's a 3. That battle cry didn't
Shouted
work
worse.
for me. Yeah.
Histrionic hand waving. All spells are -1 difficulty to perform this turn.
Okay, so it'll be easier to get a spell off. So the High Priest is shouting at the beast, but of course that was a good combo because you've used the trinket to distract me. I can't boost this now.
No, because you've got no extra dice.
Mm.
And because you're distracted, you have to re-roll your highest dice roll after every roll.
Oh no.
And I'm going to... Oh no, go on, you're okay.
So I
Your
need
defense
to...
roll, haven't you?
So here's my defense roll. So a 5, so I have to re-roll that.
Yep.
4. So the Loyal Brute's defense is 9, so that takes me to 13. 6 plus your...
6 plus... No, it's 8, so 14.
Ouch, you've done it, you've dominated me.
Dominated you. Model joins the opposing cast.
How do I get rid of that then?
You spend a plot point to remove it, but a model from your original cast must be in base contact with him.
So he's dominated. And he's distracted. He's got 2 tokens. So what now then? Can you activate him now? He's joined your cast. Oh, and he can get to that objective. You're just reaping in the...
You can get to there, in second action, pick it up.
So you get...
And he's a co-star, isn't
So
he?
you get to... Okay. So we just had... What was the spell he tried to cast?
He tried to do his presence attack, Code of Honor.
Code of Honor against the Chaos Knight, but he succeeded to defend it. Charges me.
Gonna wander over.
Oh, he is distracted. Are you going to get rid of the distracted?
So, 3, no?
Okay. So you just get 1 attack against me,
Yep, so he gets his free attack against you.
which is a 2-handed axe. It's +10. Which will knock me down. I'm not going to add anything to it because I don't think I can deal with it anyway. Oh, 6. So, yeah, basically
What's your defense, 10?
defense is 10, so 16.
16.
And his attack is 2-handed axe is 10. Oh, you can't boost it, can you?
No. I can't beat you, can I?
No. So, no. So, are you going to attack me again? Second attack? I better roll. Oh, that bumped off the 6. Only a 2 this time.
Literally just the dice, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I got a 6.
So you've knocked me down, and I've lost 1 health. I'm knocked down, and my health, which is total 3, has been reduced to by 1.
So I can spend 1 to do his onslaught,
Yeah.
which is a free action.
There's
When he completes a successful fight attack,
headbutt.
he can make a headbutt
which
on
is a
you on
plus
the
8.
ground,
Which is plus 8.
which is plus 8.
Okay, so, well, when you're knocked down, are you disadvantaged?
Yeah.
So I can't boost it. I just got to roll the dice. Oh no! You're in with a good chance of getting another wound on me.
So you're on 11, yeah?
11 defense, yeah. And you're plus 8. You've done it.
12, yeah.
So another wound.
Another wound.
And does it? What does it do?
It stuns you and pushes you 2.
Pushes me 2 inches away. Another wound, and I'm stunned. Which is another condition I've got. So that was a nasty. My loyal servant dominated and charged me. And nearly took me out. Could have done 3 wounds and could have wasted me. So, right.
So it's the end phase, isn't it? So I have to roll two dice.
For your burnt
And the
models.
burnt people,
And how does that work then?
They're probably going to die.
Do they have to make like a body check kind of
So
thing?
roll 2d6 versus defense, and if roll is equal or greater, then it suffers -1 health. So defense of the acolyte is 6.
Oh, so that's
8,
1.
so 1's dead.
Mhm.
1's burnt to a crisp. And 3, one's not dead.
Okay.
So we'll leave the old blind granny. Models on fire can be moved up to 3 inches by the opponent.
Oh, by me?
Yeah, I suppose to show that they're rolling around on the floor, I suppose.
Yeah, maybe. No, I'll just wiggle it over this way slightly. Screaming in flames. Okay. Is it my go?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's getting desperate now. I need to draw
Well, that wasn't a bad go.
2 cards. That was a very good go. You dominated me. You basically nearly wiped out Kerriagor with his own brute. So I've got to pick between these two because I've picked 2. So critical hit. This is the first time you roll a 6 on a strike roll. Add 2 to the strike value. Or on scream anachronism. This turn, whenever you finish activating a star or co-star, your opponent may pay and activate there. So I'm going to pick the critical hit. I'm not going to use that one. But what it does mean is we both get 2, because I've picked 2 cards off the trilogy deck. It means I get a bonus 2 of the plot points. And then I don't get plot points for the dominated one, do I? Because it's under your command. So basically I only get 2 for Kerriagor and 1 for my 2 other half points, Chaos Knights and Chaos Raider. So basically I've only got 6. So when I want to get rid of dominated, I have to be base-to-base contact with it.
Yeah, one of your guys has to be within base to base.
And what guys? Any kind of guys? Or?
Yeah, anyone from your
Oh,
class.
and then you spend
1 plot point. The dominated model's original owner can spend 1 plot point to remove the status in the action phase, only if it has 1 or more of their models in base contact with a dominated model.
Okay, so I don't need to do anything other than just
Models,
get someone
yeah,
base to
models
base.
that lose this status can then be allocated plot points by their original player and can activate.
Okay, so basically 1 point to activate Kerriagor. Oh, no, I'm not going to do him because I want some of his spells up. So yeah, 1 point to activate the knight, and then I'm going to move him down to be base to base with a dominated beast. Then I'm going to spend 2nd point to free up this guy and get rid of just dominated. He's still distracted, unfortunately. Loyal brute. 1 activation token. He'll move round to attack, making a move into base to base. So it's a free attack from charging in there.
You can buy 2.
So 8.
Defense of 8.
And my attack is like 10 or something. So even with a 1, my attack of the great sword is 12.
You just cleaved her in half.
Yeah. And that means I shall get Yarp because I removed an enemy model from play, which means I get an extra plot point because the star is still in action. I think I need to try and get a spell off from Kerrigor down there, so it's going to be 1 to activate him, 1 to remove stunned, 1 action to stand, and leaving me with only 1 plot point left and 1 action left. A 12-inch blistering curse against your priest that is poisoned over here. Let's see if it's in range by checking. Yep. And I can see you line of sight through the top of there. So a blistering curse comes in. Defense roll for your... Is it a warrior priest there? No, high priest. His defense is 7.
Ooh, 5. So 12.
12. So my blistering curse is a +9. You don't want to. You didn't want to boost that. Too late. Unless you want to boost it.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to boost this, so I get 1 extra. That's my last plot point gone. Oh, look at that! It's really terrible. Snake eyes.
1 and a 1.
I have at least removed stunned, but I am dangerously bleeding out with 2 wounds over there. Okay, well, it's getting a bit dramatic over here. What you've been digging through the rules over there? Yeah. What were you looking for?
I was looking to see if your cast is axed.
Ah.
I'm dangerously close because you determine if your cast is axed if it has more models removed from play than models in play.
Yeah, so
I'm at 4 and 4. So if you had removed 1 more of my characters, then I'd be axed.
So 1 more. So I've only lost 1 so far. So
you've still got 4 in play.
Yeah.
And I've got 4 in play.
Yeah, and it's an interesting observation at this late stage in the game. We've only got So what I'm going to do is steal the scene. Basically, I'm going to steal the scene as well. So after I've done that, I steal the scene. 2 cards. Why not? Oh no, I think you can only pull 1 card when you steal the scene.
1 is the finale.
Yeah. Practical effects. All artifacts are free to use until your cast is next on screen.
You get 2 plot points if the face down card is a finale card.
Okay. Oh, straight away?
Yes.
For that, I already had 1, and my crew are just generating 4.
Half plot points, isn't it?
Oh, it's half, so 2. So that gives me a total of 5 plot points. And basically stealing the scene means that even though we were almost done for, we're coming back for it. So yes, this is all going to happen now. I'm going to activate the Chaos guy, and he's just going to charge. He's 6 inches, so he's going in against your High Priest.
Yep.
And so you need to make a defense roll.
Defense of 7.
And you can boost it with more plot points. You didn't.
9. I don't have any.
Oh, you don't have any?
No.
So you got
spent them all trying to kill you.
So my great sword is +8 and it's deadly. So I already get an extra dice from the deadly. So I'm going to stick both those in there. Well,
so I'm on 9. I should be dead.
6, yeah. So it does -1 health, so you're out of action. So that was a good time to steal the scene, I think, at that moment, because that allowed me to shake it up a bit. But I'm sure I'm going to lose another one soon. That dominate from that High Priest was nasty, wasn't it? Nasty.
I like dominate.
You like dominate.
I'm gonna go for a dominate cast. Let's see how many dominates you can get.
Well, we've got to activate Kerrigor anyway for Kerrigor the Sorcerer. I'm going to move up. Let's go for it. I'm going to sort of move up my 6 to here. take his 2 wounds, trailing blood down the stairs. So that's a normal move. I'm going to try... I'll try the Blistering Curse on you.
12.
My Blistering Curse has a 12-inch range, which I haven't checked yet, so I should actually do that first. I'll just roll one dice myself. I'm not going to boost this either. The white one. 4. So yeah, that's 9 plus 4, 13. So you're poisoned, basically. Do that special effect, which is called the Impenetrable Domain. Place the barrier template in base contact with this model. This magical barrier blocks line of sight until your cast is next on screen.
Oh, so you got the same as mine.
So yeah, hiding behind the impenetrable
I
wall.
didn't know.
Warcry at you. So the Chaos Raider is going to attempt his Warcry. It's a battle cry. It's presence attack. 1. So what's that total, your defence?
11.
11. So I'm going to put both my last tokens in here. Oh no, put one last plot point in. So that gives me 2 dice. So 6 add on to my battle cry of 7, 13. So you're distracted. At least he's got to spend another plot point to get rid of distracted. Or I'm just considering, I haven't activated this guy yet. I might take the distracted off him. I am. So the last thing. Oh no, I'd have to activate him and then take and I haven't got enough. No, because I'd have to activate him first, I think. So you turn that over and you get
Recast. Choose a friendly model of no more than 3 health at its maximum. Restore it to full health.
You don't have any of those problems.
No.
It's me that would really have liked that card.
You would have done, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I would have really liked that to restore my main guy to maximum health.
So I only get 2, 3.5, so 4 plot points. I'm going to use the Crystal Shard.
And what does that do?
Doesn't cost anything. At the start of, if the model can pass a spirit statistic, gain 1d3 plot points.
Oh wow.
So spirit
The Dark
5,
Crystal.
so I need a 3. So it's d3 plot points.
3! Wow. I think you should steal the scene for your side this time as well. Well, I'm only just suggesting that, but you didn't need to. It seems like the right time to do it. If you want to put the pain on me. So he's paid 2 plot points to remove poison. It costs a bit more to remove, and of course poison is one of those things that builds up. You get two of those on you. You get -1 health. When you get 2 on you, do they stay on you and give you -1 health?
If you have 2 poison, you stay on 1 and you just lose a health.
Okay.
Same with any
the
status.
same additional status, yeah.
So in fact, actually, I'm going to use my locket for 1 and put distracted on your big guy again, which makes him lose a point of health instead.
Ah, so instead of getting 2 distracted, the Loyal Brute now has -1 health.
So he's distracted by my shiny locket again.
Oh,
so basically
no.
I'm just standing there going...
Beaming the locket into my...
He's got 2 health,
no.
hasn't he?
So yeah, he's only got 1 health left now. Good work on that.
And
2
then
distracted was
I'm
enough
gonna
to
Code of
cause an
Honor.
injury.
And a Code of Honor this guy.
Is that a defense I need to do?
Yeah, it's a presence attack. So it's +9.
Oh, well, I'm just going to roll neat. 4. So, my Chaos Knight, defense 9, 13.
I'll bung a plot point in there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's 6. So that's 15.
What does that do?
0 health, but it just immobilises you.
Okay.
Immobilised. It's the little spider web.
Oh, yeah. I've got...
Cannot activate until removed. Can't be removed if other statuses are also in place. And counts as removed from play for axing purposes. Oh, okay.
Oh, so actually that has axed me then, because that means I've got...
No, because
Oh,
it's
no.
at the end of your turn.
Okay, yeah. And actually that wouldn't be enough. You need to have more out of
Yeah.
play than you've got in. So even with that, I'd be down to 3 and I'd only have 2 out of play. Which works really well with the out of play rules. I think that's really neatly done. That you have to have more out of play than you've got in play. Because that doesn't penalise the small groups quite as badly as I thought it would. So end phase. No one's on fire.
Page 30. So, I must make a spirit statistic test using the spirit stat of any star. Okay. If it's passed, there's no effect. If it's failed, I must remove and play 1d6 of my models from the game immediately.
Oh, wow. He's done it.
I'm not axed.
There's no effect if you pass the test. Once your cast has been axed, you can no longer gain anything for extras in your cast. So you don't get any plot points
Yeah,
for
I'm not axed.
extras.
I'm not
But you're not
axed yet.
axed. You're lucky. So do you steal the scene, or do you...
I'm going to steal the scene.
You're going to steal the
because
scene.
you're going to do it once per game.
Yeah. Draw one card.
Fistful of dice. Roll 6 dice. For each 5+ rolled, remove a status from a friendly model. 3, 4, got 2, 5. So I've got 2. And I get 2 for it being a finale card.
Are you sure you get that? Oh no, yes you do.
Yeah.
But it's just you generate half points.
And so I generate 2, 3.5, so 4. So I generate 2. I'm sorry to have to do it, but I think I'm going to have to distract you again with my precious
Oh
logic,
no!
which is going to kill.
I think it is, but Loyal Brute, what does it say? So whenever this model is target of a successful strike, roll 1d6 on a 5 plus the effects of the strike are ignored. But basically you have to do the distracted first. Oh no! So
It's not a strike roll.
it's
is it?
not a
It's
strike,
just
so I can't ignore it.
distracted, No.
No, it just gets me distracted. He's dead.
Didn't even have to attack him. Just
Didn't even have to attack.
took
Just
him out by
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 magical,
shiny lights.
by shiny light. It just got too much for him. Okay, so the battle mage climbs to the top of the walkway bridge, and it's casting. Well, it's going to do Eldritch Bolt, which is just like a presence attack. Fireball.
Hadouken.
It's going to get me. So I haven't got any other extra dice, so I'm just going to roll neat and roll a 3.
What's your defense?
And my defense of the Chaos Raider is 8. But once per turn, Gift of Chaos. This model can reroll 1 die per turn. So I'm going to reroll that one. Oh no,
And it's
it's
even
even
worse.
worse.
So you got a 9.
Yes.
So now I don't even have to boost really because I'm on 8.
Yeah. Well,
So
you've done it.
if I
Yeah.
get 1,
What a run, you've done
so
it.
it does 1 health.
And
So that fries him as well.
that's
just
right.
like it fried his mate.
he did, yeah.
Hadouken.
Oh no, another Chaos Raider gone. So I've got 3 out of play and 2 in play. So I'm potentially axed as well. What else are you doing now then?
And he's going to shout at this guy.
Okay.
I'm going to bellow at him.
And what's the range on that?
That's 12 inches,
Go for it then.
which is, yeah,
It's in.
11.
I'll
What's
roll
your
my
defense?
defense. 4, it's not too bad.
What's his armor?
And the
Defense
Chaos Knight has a defense of 9, so that's 13.
13. This is 6. Oh well, might as well use that last point.
In for a penny. So
10. Nope.
no. So now it's your end phase, and you are axed. So you need to roll through this again.
I do.
So I think you only needed to roll, wasn't it, a 3 or more?
Yeah.
It's only like a 1 or 2 that.
Only.
Yeah. Oh
Ah,
no,
there
you're
it is.
axed. So basically,
So 1d6 of my people.
models move from play.
2.
2.
So I'm obviously going to leave my star.
Oh no, it's all happening. It's the last one. Blue screen thinking. All stars and co-star activated this turn must use their star qualities. Okay. That's gone. Kerriagor stands down against the other mage. I think I'm in trouble because I've only got 1 health and you're up here.
You've only got my star.
Yeah. I need to get in there.
You've got an immobilised Chaos Knight and a
Yeah. So
wounded...
basically I get two plot points for activating. 2 plot points from getting the finale card. and then 2 for Carrier Gore, my sorcerer, and then half rounded up to 1. So I've got 5 plot points. Not much going on there.
So this is the final. This is the finale anyway, because the game will end on this end phase.
So is there a cheesy route out where I run away and because I've got 1 more model than you? I don't think that's going to work, is it? I think unless I can finish you, you've basically won because you've got the balance on
objectives.
You've still got your guys run. The ring bearers run away. I assume he would have dropped the ring though, wouldn't he? Yeah, it did say if they're removed from play, the ring is left behind. Yeah, so basically I think I'll activate Carrier Gore. He will run up towards the ring. I've got to pick it up. So that's my second action. But then, yeah, that's my second action.
He crawls up the stairs.
He crawls up the stairs.
Grabs the ring.
Master!
He's like final.
I have Precious back.
He's crippled and wounded and
he's crippled, he's wounded, the blood's draining from his cloak, and he's got it. So that's one of my points. That point wasn't there anymore. But one thing I should do this time is to activate the Chaos Knight and then use an extra plot point to get rid of Immobilized, so he doesn't have 2 Immobilized on him, which would be nasty. And then I'm going to move 6 inches here and then 6 inches up the stairs to go sort of base to base with you, getting really friendly up here. And because that's a double move, that's both my actions done. But that's the end. So basically, we end on a cliffhanger.
Actually, in the end phase, you need to see if you're axed.
I do.
Because if you're axed, then what if your guys run away and you drop the ring again?
I know.
So it's your spirit.
Yeah, then I would. Yeah, so my spirit is 4. So that's a roll of 4. So this is all down to this roll because my
4+
crew. I need a 4+, otherwise everybody's running away anyway. No! So I lose the.
So now you need to roll a dice to see how many people run away.
If I roll a 1 again.
Roll a 2 or more. Both your guys will run away. Both your guys run away.
They both run away, so they leave behind the.
Leave the MacGuffin.
The ring. He nearly got the ring. He left the MacGuffin behind.
So your guy runs up to
he takes his order to run up to fight.
And then he runs away. He's like,
he runs away.
No, run away, please.
Yeah, run away. So they both fled off the table.
And he just gets the ring.
I don't think there's anything extra special I could do there. There were probably some more spells I could have used or something.
So my guy's left, solitary, defending the thing with the ring up there.
Yeah, what a great game. We ended up pretty good.
What an ending.
What an ending. One guy left alive, and the Ring of Power in no one's grasp, just lost in the cave somewhere.
If enemy has no models in play.
Me, that's a +2.
I gain +2. The enemy cast is axed.
Yes.
So I get +1. That's 3. Each objective token holds, so I've got 3. So that's 6. Each enemy star or co-star removed from play. So per health that model had. Oh geez. So I'm on 6. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Ouch.
No.
Hold the MacGuffin, no. You don't.
So 11 I got.
11. So I think I picked up 2 objectives.
You got 2.
So +2.
You've got 2.
You're axed. Yes, you are axed, yeah, so 3.
And you remove my co-star. He had 2 health. So that's 5.
No other special victory conditions.
He's got no statuses because I removed them.
Nothing. So 5 versus
11.
11.
So I beat by 6.
It's a
crushing victory.
It was a crushing victory. Well done. I think you had so many good. That precious locket was just filth, wasn't it? But it was still good fun though. Did manage to take all these off, but a resounding, crushing victory to the heroes. that unfortunately they did drop their ring. So story-wise, the ring is still there to
Considering
get.
that second turn where I couldn't do anything,
I know.
no one
did anything. Yeah, I think we could have both done much better. I still not. I haven't got a grasp of all the spells.
No, I mean I didn't use any.
No, and all of these special abilities. I could have even done. I've got a star quality that lets me use any spell in the whole range of books if I take -1 health. But I couldn't do that because I'm down to 2 health anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a turning point when I dominated your big guy. And
That was the terminal.
pummeled your.
Dominating the loyal brute, and then finishing me off was and doing 2 damage to me. That could have been 3 and finished the game early, really, couldn't it?
It was a comedy of errors on your part.
Yeah.
He got your main guy. He got battered by his own henchman.
Yeah.
Then he crawled up, grabbed the ring, and then ran away.
In fear because he realised he had his back to the high. Was not high priest left over there. It was the blessed champion left. Yeah. Player of the match, model of the match.
He didn't really do anything. He just flashed his locket.
Kept flashing that locket at me, which was distracting. I mean, that was the nastiest thing, I think, in the game. 2 flashes of the locket to the brute, and it was so distracted that it took the thing. But I was a fool because we've all learned, haven't we, how getting 2 of the same condition status is really rough. So I had a spare, and I should have removed his distracted and not left him open to taking another damage from that. But never mind. That's just the way it went, and it was great fun while we did it.
That's quite good though how they handled that actually, because 2 of the same status. You don't get any more status. You just lose a health.
Yeah.
Which is a good way of doing it.
Instead of messing about, but it's also it's just overwhelmingly whatever it is that's hitting you is going to get you.
But so the people that can deal out status, so even though these people that do 0 health on their attacks, they still do a status.
Yeah, that's an interesting one though, isn't it? Dominated. It's like you could dominate something, do some damage with it, and then before it gets to the player's turn again, whose model it originally was, to try and get it back, you could try someone else to dominate it again and do a point of damage to it by doing an extra domination. So you can sort of potentially take hold of things and then dominate them so much that they just end up crying on the floor.
I'm going to dominate you so hard.
Dominate so hard. And they end up leaving the battlefield. Yeah. So, by way of a wrap up and a review of the 7TV product, just flip down and show the box again. Now we've played it twice, I begin to sort of have my impressions of it pulled together in terms of understanding things I like and like less or dislike. And the classic YouTuber, 10 things I dislike or don't like or what have you. I'm not going to do that, but we'll just talk about a couple of things. First of all, I don't like these cards. I think they're really sweet, how they have the different artwork, which is very nice, and the style to them. But these are the grimoires, and there's 2 reasons I'm not a fan of them. One, I play the game with a friend, and he doesn't own the rules, and what that means is we might actually have a couple of characters where we pick a spell from the same grimoire, codex, or scrolls of the dead, whatever they happen to be named. So even though you may be playing a villainous cast, you might be able to select from 2 different grimoires your spells. Why don't I like that? Well, 2 reasons. First one, it's very, very tiny text and it's difficult to read at 9:30 PM on a Friday night after a busy week at work. I'm sort of fiddling around the edge of the table and going, what was the spell I had again? And I can't quite remember, and you only pick a few. And then because we may have picked the same spell, we're kind of sharing these around backwards and forwards. So not only are we old but half semi-blind people that we can't really find what we can't read it very well in these tiny cards, we also wish that we had a couple of these, because then we could hold on to them, and it just slows us down, especially during the learning phase. What would I have done instead? I would have had these spell cards as cards like all these other mini cards in the set. A set of spell cards, possibly even 2 of each spell, but I'm asking for a lot there, but maybe 1 of each spell with the maybe the colour coding on the actual back of the card rather than in here. So yeah, accessibility wise, terrible, really are. Just too tiny, too fiddly for me to read. And yeah, I mean, I could copy them out from here into something else, but I find that a bit of a challenge, and it's going to be an investment in time to get better at doing that. You know, they've done a great job of them. I'm not going to like say that it's like a game killer or anything, but it is definitely a bit of a pain in that at first I thought, oh, these are so sweet and nice having these little spells in here. But as I played, I started to think, oh, it'd be really nice just to have these on a card. And then when I picked, because you can't access the whole scroll book, there's 6 spells in there, but even the most powerful casters only get 3 spells to pick from potentially 2 different books. So I'd like to be able to pick those before the game and then have the cards beside the spellcaster, and I could just pick them up and casually glance at them. But on here, that's a challenge. So that's a negative for me. Otherwise, the tokens are fantastic, and then the rules are so concisely written. I can't even get them out here, but they are very concise and clear. You can't go wrong with that. My only other feedback really was that this unit leader table and constructing a force with a unit leader in is very important, and I don't think I've got any really thing negative to say about that other than it's just what 1 page on the back here, and it would be nice to potentially see this expanded, but that could come in expansions and things as well. So when you want to activate as a group unit, there's just 1 table of those covering all 320 cards you've got, but not every potentially I think not every card is then aligned to a particular unit. So yeah, that's just more of an observation than a negative really, just that it's something to bear in mind when you're building a force, that you need a couple of units in there. But I think we've still got a long way to go, so we've got more to learn. I can lift that up to nearly get that in focus. We've got more to learn where we would also want to do some games where potentially we've got more than 1 star and co-star, so that it's a really small party style game with a few monsters to face off rather than the bigger unit skirmish. So we want to do that as well and then see how that plays, because they do encourage that in the book. They say you're welcome to do that, in terms of you don't have to play the game as a wholly skirmish type game with balanced forces and only 1 hero star and only 1 villainous star. So you can mix it up a lot more and have a tighter, smaller game with more powerful characters facing off. And then these work out well for us, I think. What we found so far in 2 games, though, is that the trilogy cards, if we find the trilogy cards here, we found quite often on Act 1 and potentially even into Act 2. No idea why, but quite often cards come up where the ability makes no sense. Like you might be able to heal someone, or you might be able to use some kind of ability, and you can't use it. So you're sort of stuck looking at something and thinking, this one's a nice easy one, Midas Touch. Each player gets a plot point. But there's certainly some cards in here that so far we feel, at least in Act 1 and Act 2, sometimes they're just not applying to the game, and it feels like we've moved quite far into the game, and yet the kind of extra bonuses that might come off these to sort of make the action move on or give you a bit of a boon doesn't really take effect. And that's, again, it's an observation more than a negative, because I think basically if every turn you got a sort of massive boost off these, the game would be a different kind of game, and instead you potentially get a boost from one of these, or you might be able to use the alternative power or something on there. But it certainly happens a lot. It certainly happens on 2 or 3, maybe 4 of the turns that we go through. We would pull one of these and we think, I can't really use that, and it's not really given me the bonus I thought. But it's, again, second game in, we've got a long way to go. Artifacts, again, observation more than an actual an actual problem, just we've observed it so far, is that some of these feel very powerful, but I think it's because we've just not played enough. I'm trying to see if I can find the one that we had in this game, Precious Locket. This was amazing. Basically, for one plot point, you choose an enemy model. So that's an enemy model anywhere on the board. It doesn't have to be in line of sight. And that model gets the distracted status. I think that's very powerful, because if you drop a second distracted on a model, it gets a -1 health, because the second of the same condition will end up causing a wound, rather than you actually putting 2 statuses of distracted. You just say, okay, you've got another distracted status, which means you've now got -1 health, because 2 of the same one affect you. And that, I say it's an odd thing because this feels really powerful, the Precious Locket, to have on one of your heroic or villainous casts star model, or any other model in the unit, because it's just like pinging on a status very, very easily with no range limit or anything. Feels very powerful, but I think we are learning the importance now, which we only really picked up on the second one, that statuses are key, and pinging those statuses onto people, anything from poisoned all the way through. Got some of them here: dominated, immobilized, weakened, on fire. As soon as you add that second one on, they suffer. And what we're used to in gaming quite often is we're used to things happening instantly, but because there's some of this status tracking in here, like on fire and things, they're actually slow burners. No pun intended on the fire. In that you ping on fire and you think, why aren't they just dying? Well, actually, they have to wait to the end of that player's next end of their turn to see what happens to their on-fire models, because the status stays with them. And then they try and shake it off. So there's opportunity to remove it with a plot point or shaking it off at the end of the round. But it's just a grind. It grinds down the capability of their force by absorbing plot points to remove the different statuses. Plus, if you happen to have some synergies on your force against your opponent, you could say, well, I've got someone else that can ping another fire on with a different effect, or I've got another one that can ping a poison on. So you can sort of build up and then hit them hard after a couple of turns of grinding them down. And that feels really good, because it sort of adds to the story sense of things don't happen always instantly. You know, they're on fire, but it might be another round or turn or two before you end up feeling that was a really wise move, and you kind of build up your powers against each other, and it adds to a dramatic feel to it. I think that's pretty unique of 7TV, actually, because I often compare it to War Machine, because War Machine has that sort of, you get on fire and poisoned, and Horde's games from Privateer Press, because I think it's doing similar things with plot points, similar to the different focus points and things you had in War Machine. But what War Machine did, it was very much instant. Everything was, you did something and it instantly impacted it, and it, very competitive game, very focused on the action on the table happening and being resolved straight away. So that's interesting, because this doesn't do that. This takes a more relaxed approach to build up the damage and the potential for damage after you've pinged on a few of these different status effects. So we're going to be watching out for that in our next game, because we're now aware of it. Because I lost my main huge sidekick, villainous co-star, the Brute, to being pinged with that amulet, because he kept being hit by a distraction by that amulet, and the final health it had went down to that after that status was dropped on it a second time. And then in hindsight I went, oh, hang on a minute, I needed to do something about that, but I didn't. And then I went, oh, I should have used the plot point to got rid of the status, because I knew that was coming again. So again, it's a balancing factor. It's a drain on you to think, actually, I should really get that plot point to remove that. If I don't do it, I've got potential damage coming in there. So lesson learned, good fun. Yeah, and as far as top 10 lists of things I like and don't like, I've only really found this one, which I don't like, these scroll books, even though they look so sweet. Like I said initially, text is a little bit small and a bit difficult to manhandle around the table. If these could be on cards, it would be brilliant. For version 2 that they do in about 4 years' time, maybe. But until then, I may well print some of these out in terms of just putting them on a reference card myself and then laminating them so that when we pick our spells, we can do that. But mind you, I need to get hold of the text to do that. So anyway, we may just continue to struggle with our old eyes, trying to look at these books. Or if my friend buys a copy of the rules, hint, hint, he's got his own deck of these. He doesn't have to keep grabbing them off me, and we're fighting for the Grimoire mid-game when we need to read the text. So thanks for listening in. If you're at this end point and you've listened all the way through, gold medal for getting through the entire thing. And yeah, very good of you. Thanks for listening.